Our focus for today's lesson is going to be writing quotients as fractions and mixed numbers. So your learning target is I can write quotients as fractions and mixed numbers by using division and fractions as remainders. And so this is a skill that we've already been working on with our work from converting improper fractions into mixed numbers. So today really is just going to be a review and really just getting a solid foundation of this as we move on. So if we look at our first solve and share, it says Jonah has an 8-pound bag of potting soil. He divides it evenly among 5 flower pots. How much soil is in each pot? Show your answer as a fraction or mixed number. So it's a fraction if it's going to be less than 1. If it's greater than 1, it's going to be written as a mixed number. So we take a look, and my divisor is going to be my 8-pound bag of potting soil, or my dividend, sorry, that's the number that I'm dividing, and I'm going to divide that by 5. And so I can actually set this up where 8 is going to go inside the box, 5 goes outside the box, and then I can multiply. So 5 is going to go into 8 one time. I write down the 5, I subtract, I'm left with 3, and then I don't have anything to bring down. And so typically we have been writing remainder of 3, or we've been doing decimal remainders. But when I write my quotient as a mixed number, what I'm going to do is instead of writing remainder 3, I'm going to write it as a fraction. So my denominator stays the same. So it's going to stay as 5. And then my numerator is going to be my remainder is 3. So it says how much soil is in each pot. So in each pot, there's going to be 1 3/5 pounds. So I need to make sure that I include that unit of measurement because it gave me a unit of measurement, 8-pound bag of potting soil. All right. So if we take a look at your look back, it says suppose one of the pots breaks. So Jonah has to divide evenly among 4 pots. How much soil is in each pot then? So again, I'm going to do the same thing to where I'm going to do, if I need to, 8 divided by 4. 4 goes in 8 twice. I multiply. That's going to be 8 subtract. So my answer is going to be 2 pounds per pot. Okay, so far I'm hoping that you guys are feeling like this is a pretty good review skill for you and that you've got a good measure of it. So let's go ahead and move into our visual learning for today. And it says, how can you show a quotient using a fraction or a mixed number? So again, writing our quotient with fractions and mixed numbers. So it says 3 friends are going hiking. They bought a tub of trail mix to share equally. How much will each friend get? So if I bought a 4-pound tub of trail mix, you have to think about it as 4 divided by 3. So if I set it up to where 4 goes inside the box, so that's what I'm dividing. And I divide that by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. Multiply. 3 times 1 is going to be 3. I subtract. I have 1 left over. So I end up with 1 and 1/4. So each person is going to get 1 and 1/4 pounds. Again, including that unit of measurement because I am dividing pounds of trail mix. Okay. And so if you take a look and you can see here's the visual learning where each person gets a pound and then we have 1/3 pound left over. All right, so let's move into your convince me. And it says Katie shares a 64-ounce bottle of apple cider with 5 friends. Each person's serving will be the same number of ounces. Between what two whole number of ounces will each person's serving be? Explain using division. So right here, I'm going to look at some information. So I have Kate and 5 friends. So I need to make sure that I include Kate because Kate shares. So I have a total of 6 people. So 6 people are going to share 64 ounces. So there's my division work. Explain using division. And so if I
Pardon the interruption, but
So what I would do is I would go ahead and show because it says between what serving of ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to divide this out so I can see what I get. So I'm going to do 64 divided by 6. 6 goes into 64 10 times. That gives me 60. I'm going to subtract. I have 4 left over. I don't have anything else to bring down. And because we're writing it as a fraction, I have 10 and 4/6 ounces or 10 and 2/5. thirds. So each person's going to get 10 or 2/3 ounces. So it's going to be between 10 and 11 ounces. All right, so let's move into our guided practice. Okay, if we take a look at our guided practice, it says, how can I write 10/3 as a division expression and as a mixed number? So if I first write it as a division expression, that was a skill that we worked on in 9-1. So it's going to be 10 divided by 3. And my answer is going to be, so if I look at how many times 3 goes into 10, 3 goes into 10 3 times. That's 9. I subtract, I have 1 left over. So it becomes 3 1/3. 1/3 is already simplified. I can't go any smaller. So my answer here would be 3 1/3. Okay. Suppose 3 friends want to share 16 posters equally. For this situation, why does the quotient 5R1 makes more sense than the quotient 5 1/3? Okay. So again, I have 5 posters, remainder 1, and it makes more sense than doing 5 1/3 because 1 represents a whole poster where 1/3 represents part of the poster. So it doesn't make sense that we would cut a poster into thirds to give each person a third of a poster to have part of a poster. So they're each going to have 5 posters, and then there's just going to be 1 poster left over. All right. Find 11 divided by 10 and 10 divided by 11. Write each quotient as a fraction or mixed number. So we're going to look at how this is different, and this shows you why knowing what the divisor is going to be important, because I'm going to end up with 2 very different answers here. So if I start by doing 11 divided by 10. 10 goes into 11 one time. I subtract. I have 1 left over. So I end up with 1 1/10. So I have 1 1/10 as my first answer. But then when I do 10 divided by 11, oh, I can't do that. I end up with 0. So it's going to be 10 11ths. So showing you why the order of your numbers matter. In this case, because 11 was a large number, I end up with a mixed number. 10 was a smaller number, I end up with a fraction. All right, and 4 and 5 tell how much each person gets when they share equally. So if you need to write it out as a division problem first and then solve from there, you can. And so if we take a look at this one, 2 friends share 3 apples. So this would be 3 divided by 2. Or if I write it as a fraction, it's going to be 3/2 is what each person is going to get. And 3/2 are going to be equal to 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over. So I end up with 1 1/2. 3 students share 5 breakfast bars. So again, if I need to show this division, I can. But if I recognize that my fraction is going to be 5/3, I don't need to do this step. This is that scaffolding that I like to use to help you guys see what it looks like. Write it as a fraction and then turn it into a mixed number. 3 goes into 5 one time with 2 left over. So my answer is going to be 1 2/3. Double check to see if I'm in lowest terms for both of those. Half is lowest terms, 2/3 is lowest terms. So there are my answers for that problem. So I'd like for you to go ahead in your independent practice. The problems that I'd like for you to do today, I'd like for you to do 6, 18, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So you're going to do all of the even numbers on your independent practice. And then if we take a look at your math practice and problem solving, the problems that I would like for you to do are going to be 18, 20, 22, and then I need to scroll down, and I'd like for you to do problem 23 as well. So those are going to be the problems that I'd like for you to do on your math practices and